I'm Laura Vitale. On this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I really want to show you how to make a mushroom risotto. I love mushroom risotto. I love mushroom anything, obviously. And yeah, let's go over the ingredients so we can get this thing rolling. You're going to need some finely chopped onions, celery, garlic, some mushrooms. I'm using some baby portobello, cremini mushrooms, additional garlic, some aborto rice or risotto rice, some chopped up parsley, some unsalted butter, dry porcini, fresh thyme, hot pepper flakes, some white wine, freshly grated parmigiano, olive oil, salt and pepper, and some beef stock that I have actually warming up right back there because you want it to be ready and on a gentle simmer. Okay, let's get this thing rolling. In this pot, I have a little bit of water that's up to a simmer, and what I'm going to do to it, let's see, it's pretty hot. Now, what I'm going to do to that is I'm actually going to add in my porcini. Porcini, these are dry porcini. I can never find fresh porcini, so I always use the dry. They have a very awesome sort of deep woodsy flavor, and they add a lot of flavor to this dish. Now, if you can find a mixture of wild mushrooms in your supermarket, I'm going to suggest you use that. But I can't find a bunch of different mushrooms. I can only either find some portobello mushrooms or some cremini or button mushrooms, so that's what I'm using today because they have the best flavor, the cremini mushrooms of whatever was available. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my porcini, I'm going to turn this off because it's a nice simmer. I'm going to add them to the water, and this is going to like reconstitute the mushrooms. I'm going to just let these sit here for about 10 minutes, and that's going to also provide great broth that we're going to add to the risotto to just give it a little extra flavor. Now, switching pans here. I'm going to put this about medium heat, medium high. I'm going to sit this aside, and it's just going to steep there while I go on to the rest of the recipe. In that big skillet, I'm going to add in some extra virgin olive oil, and mushroom risotto, you know, it's really done in two parts. I do the mushroom saute, and then you make the risotto, and then you combine the two. I'm doing it, you know, usually you do this all at the same time, but because I want to show you how every step is supposed to be done, I'm going to do this, you know, one piece at a time. So, in this pan with my olive oil, I'm going to add in my garlic, and I'm going to wait for this to heat up together with the olive oil. Actually, just need a little bit more though, because I don't have quite enough. And I want this to sizzle, and I want the garlic to become really nice and fragrant and lightly golden. To my garlic, I'm going to add in my mushrooms that I've just chopped in small pieces. I mean, the mini portobellos, these are called mini bellas, are also known as cremini mushrooms. They were pretty small, so I just quartered them, and I just sliced the bigger ones in little bigger pieces. Anyways, put in my hot pepper flakes. I'm going to season this with some salt and pepper. Awesome. Give this a nice stir. And this is going to cook for about 7 to 8 minutes, or until the mushrooms have cooked down, developed a good amount of color, and then I will show you the next step. The mushrooms are just how I want them. They've got good color, they've cooked down. I've taken out my reconstituted porcini and I've given them a rough chop. So now these are going to go right in here, along with a little bit of parsley, because we're going to keep the rest of this for later, and some fresh thyme. Give that a nice stir. That looks great. And now I'm just going to take the mushroom mixture right onto a plate. You don't even need to wash the pan or anything, because you're going to go right into this and make your risotto base. So try to make it as easy as possible here. Put this heat back on. A little more olive oil. And then in here, we're going to add in our veggies. Now, I'm going to put this on about medium heat because I want the veggies to cook down, but what I don't want is for the veggies to develop a lot of color, because I want the risotto to be very smooth and very delicate, so I don't want to create tons of color in the veggies. So I'm just going to put them in, and I'm also going to season it with a little bit of salt, and that also helps bring out the moisture out of the veggies so that it doesn't develop as much color, because the moisture takes the water out of the veggies, so it'll help cook them down but not develop too much color. So all I'm going to do is keep my eye on these, make sure that they're just how I like them, get them nice and translucent and soft. And I'm also going to grab my beef stock and put it over here so that we can pretty much kind of get this thing rolling, because this is really the base, and then we kind of combine the whole thing, and then we're close to being done. My onion mixture looks great, so I'm going to add in my aborto rice. And it's really important that when you make risotto that you use a risotto rice. Now, it's gonna give you that sort of creamy texture. If you were to use any regular rice, you're not gonna have the same texture and consistency. So do go ahead and make sure you buy the right rice. So I'm gonna let that toast up for 1 minute, and in the meantime, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of this porcini broth that it's like amazing right now, and I'm gonna take most of it and I'm gonna put it right into my beef stock to kind of mix it together, because this has got such fantastic flavor. I don't want to get rid of it, but you want to make sure that you leave the little bit from the bottom behind, because it can be a little bit gritty, because any of the grittiness that comes off of the mushroom as they reconstitute just automatically sinks down to the bottom, so you don't want to take that with you. But any little pieces of mushrooms, they're perfectly fine. So just toast up the rice for about a minute, get it nice and coated in olive oil, and mix it with the veggies. And now we're going to add in the white wine. White wine is a crucial part, in my opinion, of making risotto, but if you don't want to use wine, you can always substitute it with just a little bit more beef stock or chicken stock, something like that. You just need a little bit of liquid. Now, I'm going to wait, and this is really important when you're making risotto. You want to wait until the first ladleful of liquid you've added is completely evaporated, really. That way, you know, when you make risotto, it's a constant stir and add type of thing, and you don't want to, add all your liquid and then walk away, because you're not going to end up with risotto. So this is going to take about 18 to 20 minutes. I've added my wine. Once that's reduced, I'm going to add in a ladleful of broth. And I'm going to continue to do that for about 18 minutes, or until the rice is about 5 minutes away from being done. And I'll show you what that looks like once it's there. My risotto is about 5 minutes away from being done. And this is a really crucial, very crucial step that you've got to take. Now, once you add in all of your mushrooms, you want to stir them in to combine, obviously. And I'm going to stir this really well, but I'm going to season it first with some salt and pepper, because it needs it. I've tasted it, and it definitely needs a little salt and pepper. Now, I'm going to add in a ladle. See how thick it is? I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to put in another ladleful of broth. 1.5, because I'm right down to the bottom. Give this a stir, and meanwhile, it's off now. So you want to add in your butter and your cheese. Stir this around. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect, because we're going to come back to this in 5 minutes. You're going to put the lid on, heat's turned off, and you're going to let this sit for 5 minutes, and I'm going to show you what it looks like once it's done, and then it's just time to pretty much serve it up and dig in. My risotto was sitting covered for 5 minutes, and it is perfect. The consistency is amazing, and I've said this many times before when I made risotto for you. Italians always say that a good risotto should be come una onda, which means with a wave to it, like a wave. It should have some, if you pull it back, it should come back on its own. That means it's not too thick, and you should never eat risotto with a spoon. Risotto is meant to be eaten with a fork. And like I've said before, if your risotto sticks together and you can put a spoon and it holds, then you want to get rid of it, because that's no good. I'm going to sprinkle a little parsley on top of mine, and I'm actually going to stir in the rest of the parsley in here. And let me tell you, leftover mushroom risotto makes for amazing risotto cakes, which is probably going to be what I'm doing tomorrow, considering there's only 2 of us, and I decided to make an entire batch that feeds 4 to 6 people. I love mushroom risotto. I love any kind of risotto. Let's give this a nice taste. It's very, very rich and deep in flavor. Easy to make. Doesn't take a whole lot of time. It takes a little TLC, and it definitely takes a little bit of your attention, because you're going to stir it here and there, but there's something very sort of relaxing and almost therapeutic about it, in my opinion. So I hope that you do go and make this recipe, and go to www.learnmythekitchen.com to get the recipe. I hope you enjoy spending time with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.